Hello, 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 hello. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, you're.
That's
Oh,
a
I
bad,
was like, you're just.
that's a bad joke.
That's funny.
All right, we go try this one again, y'all. It's a
Okay.
lot better than what it was the first time. All right, I want to welcome everybody to another episode of Levi's Youth Sports Talk. First, I want to thank my sponsor Justin Womack for the chain and Steve Aguado for the banner y'all see behind me. I want to thank everyone for the continued support, and please make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, like this video. Now, we want to welcome back two great coaches that blessed the podcast once before. We have head coach of IG National and Colorado Sparkler 12U champion Katy Cave, and also head coach of the OC Bat Busters 12U Stiff Byrd, and the two-time Allance National 12U champions Jeff Byrd. Welcome back to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, how would y'all describe y'all season in one word and why? Katie, you can go first.
Um, it's hard to do one word, but emotional maybe. Our team went through a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. We had a rough April, and then we kind of turned it around and did a lot better. And the girls fought hard. So
Okay, okay. And Jeff?
Uh, I guess phenomenal. Reason being is, as the returning national champions, every friendly we played, every tournament we entered, the target was very, very large. And so for the girls to have continued to be extremely consistent could have been the word also, but the consistency was unparalleled to go 109-3. Um, it just means there's a lot of consistency there. When you have to imagine every single friendly we play, we're getting everybody's one, or we're getting everybody's best. They want to knock off the prior year's national champion, which I completely understand, which allowed us to always be playing at or near our best. We had to, or we were going to fail. So I would say phenomenal would be a word to describe this past 9, 10, 12 months.
Okay, okay. And this season, it was being the older group. Now next season we going into 14U. What different, what's a different take? Do you take anything different like as in practices or anything? Do y'all go about anything different knowing other than the pitching change going into 14U?
I'll jump in.
Okay, yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah. So for myself, I think we're going to have to get deeper. So we're going to have to add more girls to the roster. In 12s, you can get away with carrying a leaner roster. I think once you get to 14s, positions start becoming very clear. Sometimes pitchers, not all, but some pitchers become POs. Some catchers become catchers only. And so I think we have to add more depth. And also from a parent perspective, we have to understand that it's going to be a change for everybody, coaches and players, because 14U teams carry 16, 18 girl rosters. And last time I checked, 9 can play at a time. So there's always going to be those 8 or 9 families and girls that are going to be in a situation they haven't faced before, which is sitting. And so I think learning to sit is going to be a big adjustment. Learning to manage larger rosters is going to be a big adjustment. But in terms of practicing, the practices will be the same. We practice with Mike a lot now and his teams already anyway. So we're already running 35 girl plus practices on a weekly basis on the weekends. But that would, for me, would be the biggest adjustment, is just going to be the roster size and having the studs that are typically playing every inning of every game are now sitting at least one out of every 3 games.
Okay, Katie and you?
I think I would agree. We're still going to keep our roster at 12. Some of our pitchers do play a major role on defense. But with the POs coming into play, and then, like he said, catcher onlys, that comes into play. So I could see second year 14 for us adding to the roster. Um, But as far as practices, we'll be able to practice with some of our older teams and throw bullpens and things like that. So that'll be really nice. We're kind of like way south of Houston, so we're not really near any of our other teams, so that's kind of hard. But I've already talked to them about scrimmages and things like that, so that'll be really nice.
Okay. And like Jeff, you said, some girls will have to go to POs and catchers only. Like as in the parents, how do you get the parents to understand that part? To understand like it's not a bad thing. It's just the way the game is. But like, how would you, if a parent come up to you and just be like no, like why is this, why is that? Like, how would you explain to her the situation?
Well, I think through 12s, I think parents have access to the coach a lot more than once you get to 14s.
Okay.
So the conversation between myself and other coaches and parents on positions and where they're playing and why they're playing and when they're playing and batting order stuff, I think those conversations are pretty much over, right? We're very deep at Bat Busters, and I love all the girls and the families, but I know that the tolerance for parent input as we get older becomes a lot less, and I think what ends up happening is the kids will play where they play, and those kids will either accept those roles or not. And we want to keep everybody under the umbrella, but sometimes another path is a better path. So I don't plan to have much engagement in terms of conversations with parents any longer about positions and those types of things. I think those days are probably behind us.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. Can y'all talk about the highs and lows of y'all past season? Katy, you can go first on this one.
Highs, obviously winning Colorado. That's a really big tournament. I mean, I played in that when I was growing up. It was structured a little different, but that was a really high for us. This season, January through July, I think the low is, I mean, we don't really have like a low, but like I mentioned earlier, April was just kind of a low for us because we were struggling trying to find our footing, and we were doing uncharacteristic things on the field and stuff like that. But once we kind of took that time off, we took 3 weeks off from playing and just started practicing and trying to figure it out, and that helped a lot. So
Okay, and Jeff, same question.
Yeah, it's really hard to think.
Y'all 109-3, so you don't have many lows in there, man.
Listen, and I'm trying to answer the question that you've asked. The lowest we had, I guess, would be not winning the one and only tournament we didn't win all year. It sounds terrible to say that, but we played 11 tournaments, and the only one we didn't win what was the Sparkler, which we came in third. And we'd played both teams that were in the finals in the past and had lots of success against them, Katy included, although I love Katy. Look, I'm not a believer that you have to lose to get better. I'm not a believer in that. But I am a believer if you are going to lose, there are better times than others, right? So, when you rattle off 60 straight wins and, my hardest job from September through this past week is convincing my girls the team on the other side can beat us, right? Because when we won last year as a first-year team, and we start rolling, and we went out of state and won, and we stay in state and win, the girls become confident. So we had 3 losses, and they were each very, very well placed. There was one in fall during that Texas tournament that we went out to. Was against the Bombers, right? Now, fortunately for us, we got to play them 2 games later in Mercyden. So, but it allowed, we were like 30-0 at that time. So it was a very well placed because I was able to say, girls, listen, you think you're so great, you're not. At any time, this can happen. And they ratcheted it up, and we won that tournament. The next loss wasn't until I think it was maybe April. and it was in a double elimination tournament. We lost a game on a really, really very uncommon way to go down, but we lost. But I was able to tell the girls, hey, it's been 50 games again. You gotta, straighten up. And we got to play that team like we did in Texas that beat us 2 games later and beat them and won the tournament. Then we get to Colorado, and the team that we got beat by, we were, I don't know, 6-0 against, and outscored a bunch to a little. And they were hype, and they jumped on us early, and it's a 4-inning game. And those are the things that I like about Allance and even PGF is the 4-inning game things. That's not softball to me, right? So when you go down the sparkler and I lose in a 4-inning game, that's like halftime of a football game in the Super Bowl and everybody packs it in and doesn't come out for the second half, right? So, I mean, the team we were playing, Katy was there, she saw, was holding the ball and not pitching it, taking 20-second pitch count violations and balls to run
I
out.
couldn't believe that, to be honest.
Yes. So, and I'm thinking, do I have my batter run into the dugout? I'm not engaging in this. I'm looking at, it's a 4-inning game. They were begging to get off the field. That told me a lot more than I needed to know, right? And so the downs were those 3 losses, but I think they were very well timed because the sparkler led into the Allance, and my girls were hot off of thinking, oh my God, we can't lose, and we did. And so then it really propelled us into the Allance, I think, in having a lot of success and never letting our guard down again.
Okay. Talk about, Jeff, you can go. Talk about just the Allance run, the tournament from start to finish.
I think we've spoken about it before. I've been fortunate enough to play in the national championship game in PGF and now 2 in Allance. The Allance tournament, in my opinion, is by far the best formatted tournament that you could play in. It really allows, and again, I said this last year, and I'll say it next year, the year after, and it's not because we won. The best team at that tournament wins. And the reason is because it's structured, as you probably are well aware, like the Women's College World Series. The regionals, each period throughout the tournament is its own little tournament in and of itself, right? So you've got a double elimination regional. You can lose a game and still make it to the Super Regionals. You can then lose in the Super Regionals, still make it to the Elite Eight. You can lose in the Elite Eight, still make it to the Final Four. You can lose in the Final Four, make it to the championship. You can lose one in the championship, and you can still win. So my point is, it allows for a slip up. It allows for a bad day or a bad game. Whereas PGF, once you get to the end, doesn't allow for that, right? And so I think, ultimately the format of this tournament, it's a lot of softball. It's a lot of softball. Last year, we played 13 games. This year, because we started out in regionals right out of the gate with no pool play, we only had to play 9. But I love the tournament. I love how it's formatted. I think, like I said, it gives an opportunity for a team to slip, but still fight back and still have an opportunity to win the tournament. And I think the best team typically comes out because there's so much softball and so many opportunities to lose that if you don't lose and you finish, then I think you're rewarded, with the championship. We were hot. We played 9 games, 7 of which we won by mercy. The other one was 7-0, which was 1 run off of mercy. The other one was a shutout. I think our total was like 82-6 during that run was our run differential, 82-6. So it was a pretty good showing. And I love the tournament. I love being in Indiana. I love that stadium. I don't know if any of you saw the stadium at Kokomo High School. It's an unbelievable facility. It is literally a college facility in a high school in Indiana. But I love the tournament, and that clearly as a bat buster, we have to play in that tournament. But if I were to choose, I would go to that one every time anyway.
Okay.
I would agree.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there, but I saw the pictures of the stadium, and yeah, it was a nice stadium. But I know I didn't say it on the thing. Congratulations, to winning. I know it's a good feeling to win. I know you won last year 2 times, so now going into 14, you gotta, they're gonna be coming for you.
Oh, for sure.
So, Katy, talk about your sparkler run and how was it?
It was a lot of fun. The girls played really well, and we were just the hot team that weekend. The girls hit really well. They played defense well. They pitched well. Um, we had a lot of things go our way, and so I think playing good and having all those happen with a little bit of luck. I think the girls. I mean, it was great. So yeah.
Can I just say something?
Mhm.
We played Katy 3 times, and the reason I didn't mind being on the podcast here with Katy is I respect the hell out of her. I love Katy. She's a great person. The way she treats the girls on the field is phenomenal. Her parents are very good, very competitive, very respectful, and I really loved her team. And I would have to say, if I wasn't the one to win Sparkler, which I was not, I was a fan of Katy and her team. So I was happy to see that they had success there.
Thank you, and I feel the same way about you guys too. Eventually we'll get you, but I really enjoy playing you guys, and I would play you guys every week if I could because your parents are just so nice, supportive, competitive, and your girls. I think our girls get along pretty well.
They do. They do.
There's no bad blood, and it. Our girls they like playing you, and they like your team, and they like you. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the thing is that there's no bad blood between Bat Busters and Impact Gold. Matter of fact, there's a lot of love at the heads of both those orgs. So, we have tremendous respect for that organization. They're always super competitive and someone that's always going to be in the mix for championships, and we know that.
Mm-hmm. All right, y'all got all that out the way now.
Yeah.
No, it's
honestly,
good,
I do wish they lived closer.
Yeah,
that would be
right.
great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to play them more often.
As would we.
Yeah. You gotta imagine having a friendly in Nevada or something.
Right.
How was the competition this year? Katy, here in Houston is a lot of competition, here for sure. You can step on the field with one of these teams and you don't really know who will come out, on top. So just talk about like the competition in the 12U division here, in the 2012 division here in Houston.
I think there's quite a bit of really good teams. We all follow each other, right? And so a lot of our losses actually come at home versus when we play away. And so I think Alliance is one of the few that we've lost when we've been out of town. And I am glad you guys that won. But the competition in Houston, I wish it was more formatted towards Alliance, only because I don't know how to prepare for that if we don't ever play that here. And so, but the competition here, like WOW and United and any of those teams, if you let them hang around, they're going to beat you. And so if you don't play your best, they're going to beat you. So you really have to mind your P's and Q's and be almost perfect to make sure that you win those games. So.
And Jeff, right? So when y'all play, do y'all play up a lot or y'all stay at your age level?
We played about 31 games in 14s through the months of January, February, into March. I'm very particular. So once we started getting into late March, early April, that's when some of the more competitive, better tournaments in 12 start coming up. And I think it's difficult for pitchers to go back and forth. But more than pitchers, I think people underestimate the difficulty it is for a hitter to go from 40 to 43, 40 to 43. You'll notice your hitters are way out front when you first start playing 14s. And then if you stay there too long, and if you wait the week before a big tournament, and you come back to 12s and somebody's slinging at 60 miles an hour from 40, it's going to be a little bit too hard, right? So I didn't spend 5 months up in 14s because I wanted to get my girls prepared for the national championship run at the very end. So I didn't want to spend too much time at what I would believe could put my girls at a disadvantage by asking them to go from the 43 feet distance 2 weeks later to try to hit in 60, 63 from 40. I felt like I'd be putting them in a disadvantageous situation. So we did play through January, maybe halfway through March, about 30, 31 games. But then we got back down to 12s. And I'm not in a hurry to go nowhere, right? So I mean, meaning that there's a lot of time for these girls to play in 14s, play in 18s. We were in the 12U division, and that's the division we wanted to dominate. So while we did spend some time in 14s, and it got us better, I came down in time to make sure my girls were ready when the time came at the end of the year.
Okay. Okay.
And I would agree with that. I'm not a huge person. You know, our team, we don't ever really play up. It's just hard to go back and forth, and especially down here, there are a lot of teams that play up, and then they come back down and they really struggle. And so I don't think people really realize, like Jeff said, like hitting, pitching, like it's a huge adjustment. So
Yeah. I mean, for me being, I'm a parent. I like my side of the fence. I meet a lot of people on my side. But no, like I see exactly, what y'all are explaining here. The difference is it makes a difference. The 40, the 3 feet makes a big difference, and I think some parents don't realize that. They just want to be like, okay, yeah, we playing up, and make it sound good, and not realizing that it's putting the kids in a little disadvantage at times.
Right.
yep.
I mean, there's a time for it, but I always get out of it 6 weeks before a tournament. I'll get away from it because I think it takes 3 to 4 weeks of solid pitching to really readjust in the box. Like I said, pitchers can do it because pitchers train from further distances anyway with and they throw a long toss and they'll throw from 43. The pitching isn't really the issue. It's for me, in my experience, has been more the hitting. That's where you get girls out on the front foot in 14s, or they're way behind in 12s if you go from week to week, keep switching back and forth.
Okay, I get it. I got that. So was there a moment other than winning for y'all this summer and winning y'all prospective tournaments that y'all just looked at y'all team and was like wow, like dang, like they really came a long way?
I'll be honest. Like, I think their team is pretty similar to ours, where he's coached a lot of those girls since they were really young. Like, I've coached some of my kids since they were 7, and I think he's in the same boat. And just seeing them, honestly, they just impress me every single weekend we play. Like, I'm like, oh, things that we're working on, something in the hole, like Santina made some backhand in the hole and threw off her wrong foot, and it was like, we've been working on that forever, and like her mom is like, oh my God, you finally did it, and so it's just, I've been coaching them for so long, and we started as like a little all-star team from League City, and we still have 7 kids that live here. And so to watch them grow, and like a majority I've had since they were 9, and so it's just rewarding every time they play, honestly. So
Okay. And like to keep a team, to keep a team that long, a good core that long, it's difficult, right? So how do y'all do it to keep being able to keep that core of girls for the distance that y'all have had them for?
starts on the outside of the fence.
True.
100%. 100% agree. I think, look, I'm down to 4 that I've had since they were 6 years old, 7 years old. At my peak, I had 10. So in 10s, I only carried a roster of 10, and it was more parent management, right? Because when you're an elite team or a team that wins a lot and has won a lot, what ends up happening is, as I discussed at the start of this conversation, which is the 10th and 11th and 12th kid or parent is never happy. It's difficult. And those kids are very talented. And if they're on anybody else's team, they would be starters 100%. And so that there's the rub, right? Because as a parent and as a player, you want to play for the best. And out here, it's us, it's Stiff, it's Batbusters. You want to play on that team. But if you find yourself not in the game as much as you would like, or as a parent, you find your child not in the game as much as you'd like her to be in the game, you have a decision to make, and it's a tough one. You take it away from the best players in the country and put her somewhere else where she can shine on a much lesser team, you have no shot of winning? Or is it important for you to keep that kid around higher level players Let her absorb, let her soak it in, let her hit her spots. She's going to get in, she's going to play. But again, if you're going to be a starter every game and for someone else, it's just a decision that a parent and a kid has to make. So it absolutely starts on the outside. That's why I'm down to 4 and I don't have 10. Let's be honest, right? Now, the 4 that I still do have, one's Taylor, my pitcher, one's JoJo, my catcher, one is my own kid, clearly, and the other one is a first baseman utility sub at this point. And in times can get rough, right? Because you look at the little girl that I've known since she's been 6 years old, and she's not playing as much as she used to. And it's not easy on the coach either. I know it's hard on the parents, but it's equally as hard on me when I see kids get passed up by other kids that I haven't known as well, right? But that's life. That's life. Mm-hmm. You got to keep battling, and you got to keep working hard. And you can't whine. You can't whine. You can't coddle. You got to move on.
Yep.
That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
I think some people lose sight of, you want what's best for every kid, but you also have to think of the team as a whole. And, everybody wants their kid and the best 8 players on the field. And I think that's something hard that us as coaches have to deal with as well, is we have to think of all 11 or 12 kids, not just our own.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and like y'all at home and it's big tournaments coming up. How much time do y'all spend like at home trying to figure out lineups, or just even thinking about, the weekend coming up? Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do here? I got this player I need to put here, like how much time do y'all put in? And Katy, I know you have to do it for high school as well, but how much time do y'all put in outside of the weekend thinking about the lineups and stuff like that?
I'm a preparer. So I go and I look up teams and I find out who we're playing and watch video, and I mean, that's just like my thing. I don't run into anything blind. And Lance can attest, I blow up his phone, vice versa. So talking about lineups and who should be with who, and we always work with a staff. We never, pitch back to back and things like that. So matchups for me are really big. So.
Okay, and Jeff?
I had a feeling Katy was like me. I'm a freak, meaning it's Monday through Sunday. Mm-hmm. I'm watching other teams' games. I'm charting other teams' hitters against specific teams. I'll never forget last year in the Allance. We actually played Texas Glory in the Super Regional before we played them in the championship. And I had watched 3 or 4 of their games. I was up in the hotel. I probably watched 3 or 4 of their games. I didn't get to bed like 4 or 5 in the morning. I charted all their hitters against all the pitchers that they had played in our games I could watch. And they had a lot of really fast girls on that team, but they liked to bunt. That RWB team really, really liked to bunt. And their leadoff hitter used to push bunt to the right side almost every at bat. And she comes up the first game we ever played in, and I called my corners and I said she likes to push bunt. She stepped out of the box and looked at me like, "What the hell? How do you know?" Right? And that little girl had this look on her face like, "We've never played you." I'm like, "I know everything about you. I know I've watched your last 18 at bats. And so I watch a lot of video, and I do think a lot about the lineup, because you really do want to try to get everybody in the game. You want to try to give everybody an opportunity. And different tournaments are different. The national tournament, it's more difficult to do that because it's the last one. You're trying to win a national championship, and it's no longer about being nice and friendly necessarily and putting in the people that are your good friends. It's about putting the best 9 on the field at all times to succeed, because these girls are going to go on and remember this for the rest of their lives, right? And as a coach, it's my job. Right, it's my job to put the best kids out there, regardless of relationships, and that can cause problems, and that can cause a lot of strife. And but it's part of it. That's why they pay Katie and I the big bucks to coach travel teams. These hard decisions have to be made.
Oh,
Hey, hey, get them bucks, man.
Good dollars, man.
Hey, you like how Katie was like,
I didn't get paid nothing.
That's right. I'm with
Yeah, stress. That's what I get
Yeah.
paid in.
you.
Nah, it's, I mean, it's, I don't know when, the paid coach thing, I mean, it is what it is. It's out there. There's nothing you can do
Yep.
about it. So, I mean, it is what it is. But to me, if you're a paid coach, you got to be able to show what you can do, right? You can't just be out there just saying, like, hey, show me what person did you use this, whatever you got into, this athlete. What did you do? Which athlete did you bring up? Which athlete did you have from younger ages, and now they're like, oh, okay, I see the difference in them, right? But I mean, again, it's paid coaching. It is what it is at this point.
Mhm.
I think there are some really good ones out there.
Yes, for
And like I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, just because you played doesn't mean you're good at coaching,
sure.
right? And so you have to make sure that you love it, especially when you're coming in new to coaching. I think a lot of the younger girls, they don't expect how intense it is, I guess. And so it shouldn't be that way. But when you're traveling thousands of miles and we're playing, Jeff's team, and it's like, no, you have to know what you're doing. You can't just throw them out there blind.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And that's my thing. All right. You get paid. Okay, that's fine. But you got to be able to be, show me this and
Yeah.
show me that. But I mean, it is what it is. So
Mhm.
how do y'all help your athletes handle pressure like in high stake games? Right. Let's say both of y'all play in a championship game. Let's say hypothetical, it's the last inning and it's 2 hours, it's full count. You got a batter up there. That's big pressure. Y'all could be down one, bat on third, run on third. Like, what would you tell the batter in that situation? Jeff, go first.
You know what I think is these girls, I'll just speak for my team, I'm sure Katie's are the same, but our girls, and I never say my girls work harder because that's a disservice to all the kids who work hard. So what I will say is I don't think anyone works harder, but I know our girls work as hard as everybody else. And I think throughout the week, these girls are at our facility. We've got a huge facility, 20,000 square foot, multiple cages, sports and weight room, speed and agility classes, trainers, paid trainers. So our facility is that of a high school gym with paid coaches. And I think, ultimately, I'm comfortable that we as coaches have prepared the girls for those moments. That's why I played 112 games. That's why we played 11 tournaments. That's why I went to Texas to seek out Katy and the Texas Blaze back in the fall, because we had tested the waters here in SoCal, and we had read an article about Katy's team in extra inning, and somebody sent it to me, and I said, we're going there. Let's find out a tournament that they're in. We're going there. And we flew there, right? And in the middle of the school year. My girls are taking red eyes at 12:30, getting in at 9 a.m. My starting shortstop missed our first game against Texas Blaze United, a pool game, and that because she didn't get in until 10:45 and she couldn't get her rental car on time. So my starting shortstop is running across the field in the 6th inning. But that was the buy-in I got from our parents, that we were seeking out the best competition. We went there, frankly, for Katy, right? I didn't know about WOW. I didn't know about Texas Blaze. I only saw an article about Katy's team. And I got a screenshot from a parent that said, we gotta go to Texas. I said, well, let's go. Right. And so that's how that even happened. And so I think from my perspective as a coach, I just remind the girls, this is the game of softball. How many times have you swung a bat? At the end of the day, it's you versus the pitcher, right? And they're trying to get ahead in the first pitch, so hunt the first pitch. They're trying to go up 0-1, right? So, ultimately, I feel like I'm calm as I can be. I'm not ever calm, but as I can be. but I believe in the girls' preparation. We prepare them. We have in-week practices. We have weekend practices. We play 112 games, not excluding the 31, 14 games. So what do we play? 140 something games, right? So, and we play tons of tournaments because I want them in that environment. And there's both sides of the story, right? When you play too many games, you should be practicing more. And I do get that argument as well. And there's a very fine line because in games you don't get 100 ground balls that day, right? You can get 5, right? So there's a fine line, and we try to walk that fine line. But ultimately, I try to put my girls in high stress situations all the time. So when it comes July and we're at nationals and we're in the championship game and it's 0-0 in the 5th inning as it was the first time, I'm comfortable. I know they're going to hit. Because they've been there and we've done it for 2 straight years. And so I have ease and comfort knowing that those girls are prepared, and not just because of me. They all, all the girls, they all go to their private lessons when they're not practicing with me or at the facility. Catching, hitting, pitching, they all go. So at this level with my team, we have single sport athletes mostly, which I don't typically like. So now a lot of us play flag football. So a lot of the girls now, we kind of pushed them on Friday nights out here to play flag football, use different muscles, use different part of your brain, use different, because of the overuse problem that you're going to get when you're this young, doing the same sport over and over and over and over. So a lot of my girls now play flag football and they're killing it. And I was talking to Katy offline here before you joined us. Flag football, girls flag football out here is huge. It is
so cool.
Blown up. It is enormous. I mean, these leagues have 1,700 kids in them, girls. And it's just blowing. And scholarships are being offered now for flag football for girls. So it just offers another sport for a super athletic kid besides softball and soccer. And volleyball's, kind of for the taller kids mostly, but it offers another avenue for these girls to succeed in athletics.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Katy?
I think for me, what he said, but also sometimes they just want to hear me say, I know you can do it. And so in a high pressure situation, they'll turn and just look at me and I'm like, you got it. You're fine. You can do it. And I think that just kind of the deep breath and I'm like, all right, I can't do it. And I think every kid is different on our team. I know I coach them mostly the same, but sometimes I know I can talk to this kid the way I can't talk to this kid the way I can talk to that kid. And making sure I know who my athletes are, and just making sure that they know that I believe in them, and no matter what, just be competitive, and that's it. So.
Okay, and that's the thing, right? Just for them to understand, right? Like, just be competitive. That's all we want. Coaches, well, not we. I'm not a coach. But, you want y'all coaches. Y'all want effort and competitiveness, and always, hustle for everything. Any ball go rolling here, always hustle, right? Coaches see everything, and I think some girls, not all, but some girls like, maybe I can get away with this and get away with that, and really they shouldn't be cutting corners because they can catch up to them in the long run.
I mean, what you do in the dark shows in the light.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always tell my kids. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So in California, like, what tournaments do y'all play? Like, is it all sanctions, or what sanctions is it over there in California?
The competitive ones, there's lots and lots of tournaments. The more competitive tournaments are usually sanctioned by Triple Crown, TCS. So we'll typically play in one TCS tourney a month. Then there'll be an on deck tournament in San Diego, like a money tournament in San Diego. Anytime there's money involved, it draws out all the teams. So we typically play one tournament a month with Triple Crown, and they will bring all the good teams will arrive. SoCal is a hotbed for softball, right? I mean, you'll never. I mean, the level of competition here, it's year round. You can play all year round. Obviously, there's no snow. It very rarely rains. So, ultimately, we're on the field all the time. And there's a team for everybody, which can also be a bad thing, right? Because you'll bump into a team and you'll say, wow, that team would really do well in my rec league. Like, I don't know why they're here. And you just, but everybody, like you said earlier about playing up, like that mentality of parents like to say, my kid plays up. And a lot of parents like to say, my kid plays travel, when the local rec all-star team would whoop your butt. But you want to pay the dues and control your own schedule. I get it, but just know your team's not very good. And they should probably be getting some fundamentals back in the old rec league. But, we fortunately avoid those teams mostly. Every now and then, they'll sign up in a tournament and they'll jump in a pool and you're like, oh my God, they're in our pool. And then they're like, why are we playing you guys? But it just happens. But the level of competition here in SoCal is really, really high. And the quality of girls here. I mean, you look at Oklahoma's roster, it's littered with SoCal kids, right? Actually, there's 7 of them now. Mike Stitt's team, his team alone. Some of them to the transfer portal now, but there were 6 starters at one time this past year of that Mr. Stitt girls. 6 starters in their Patty's lineup this year. So it's super competitive, which obviously that's why sometimes we leave to go to Texas to stop playing the same 12 to 15 super good teams. We got to see some new blood.
Yeah.
Okay. And is Texas the only state that y'all travel outside of Indiana?
It is, because typically the tournaments that that are in Arizona is typically all the California teams that just drive 6 hours to Arizona. Or the ones in Vegas are the same thing. Typically, they're all the California teams that just drive to Vegas. We as bat busters, we don't play in PGF events. So we can't play in the super select tournaments. We won't play in those tournaments.
I know. I wish y'all could play in Chad's tournament.
I know he keeps hitting me up, and that's just not going to happen.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's just not good. But again, I'll go back to this. Here's the thing that I started with a little earlier. When you're playing 7 games in a day, no offense, Ryan Moore, that's crazy. Like, that's not like.
I agree.
That's not softball. Like, the winner of that tournament isn't necessarily the best team. It's the team who survived, right? And it's like 7 games. When have you ever turned on the TV and watched a college team play 7 games in one game? Never, right? And these are all 4 or 5 inning games, because the 120 no news. Like, a 7-inning game is a softball game, right? And that's why, when I went out to Texas, I was blown away when I'm like 110. Like, I was looking at Katy, I was looking at your game chain. I'm like, these are 3-inning games. There's a lot of 3-inning games.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what that does. And so, like, when those teams come to Allance and these are 7-inning games, I know certainly some teams are going to struggle because they're used to tapping out after 4 and 5 innings. And we're prepared for that. Like, we're conditioned for that. And so when I see these tournaments and they're playing 5, 6, 7 games in a day and they're doing 4 and 5 innings, again, that's quitting at halftime. Get through my lineup 4 times and beat me, you deserve it. You get through my lineup 1.5 times and the time expires, good, congratulations. Get through my lineup 4 times and see how many runs we can score.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Because, and I think there's good teams there, certainly, 100%. But when you're asked to play 7-inning games, 9 to 13 7-inning games in a week, that's real softball. I don't think 7 4 to 5 inning games in a day is softball, in my humble opinion.
And I wish there were more 7-inning tournaments. Like, here in Houston, there is none of that. And so, like I said earlier, I don't know how to even prepare for that unless we scrimmage and play 7 innings.
Right.
I wish Super Cup would have all been 7 innings. I told somebody Alliance was the most grueling tournament we've ever played, especially a pitcher down. And so, I mean, poor Chloe and Suhina, they were just out there throwing. I mean, their arms were tired. And Cam and Macy gave us a few innings and they did well, but not having one of your major pitchers is rough going into that. So
it is tough. And the Batbuster teams that went to Alliance this year that asked me my opinion on, Coach, what do we need to do to prepare? I said, it's going to be unlike anything you've ever done. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You better last 7 innings at least twice a day. So, and God forbid you lose a game. Now you got
to play 3 back-to-back games.
That's 21 innings. That's 21 innings of softball, where most teams are used to playing 12 to 15 max if you're playing 3 games, right? And now you're playing 21. That's another game and a half. So if your pitching staff isn't prepared to go 7 and your number 2's tired, or a guy like Katy, someone was hurt, you're in trouble. You know, you're going to be treading water early in a week-long tournament because no one's tapping out after $120. You know, you're not going home after 120. I remember when I was in Texas, I'd never been in that environment where it was 110, and the pressure to score early was insane. Like my girls were like, how much more time? We got like 25 minutes. The coach's only the second inning. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. We got 25 minutes. Like, I don't know what to do. And so that's why I like 7-inning tournaments, because I think it really lets teams stretch their legs out a little bit. And once you get deep into somebody's staff, get deep into their hitting, you'll see the exhaustion on them. And that's why I think my team was prepared and understood what was going to be asked. It was conditioned for that, where a lot of teams aren't conditioned for that.
Well, in Alliance, y'all did all the little things right. And that's the one thing, like, I really noticed is you got the leadoff on. When we played you guys, you got the leadoff on every inning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something, you know, good teams do. And so right before we had played you guys, we played those 21 innings. And I was talking to you that night, and I'm like, we just may have emptied the tank, you know? And so, I mean, it was mentally, it was rough. It was grueling, that tournament. I wish they would play more games in the beginning.
They did last year. So last year, we played 2 games per day. And when we got to the Final Four, we only played 1 to get to the finals. But it was 2 games per day every day. This year, but last year, though, because there were more teams this year, last year it was 4 pool play games into a seeded regional. Okay. This year we started out right out of the gate with regionals, which meant every game mattered from the very beginning, right? And I do remember saying, I remember thinking, I told my girls when we went to play Katy, it was the first game on the whatever day that was, at this point, Saturday maybe. The loser of that game was in a lot of trouble because they had to play 5 games that day. 5. And so to survive 5 7-inning games, forget it. No one's going to have the ability to do that. And so fortunately for us, we got away with a lot of 5-inning games because we got up on the mercy rule, which really helped save my staff, my girl. I mean, it really helped. I mean, 7 of them were mercies, so we weren't going 7 innings a lot. We were going 5, which was, you start adding up, 8 games times 2 innings. That's 16 innings saved by mercying somebody. So you're talking about 2 1/3 games that we saved. That's a lot of innings on 13-year-old girls throughout the course of 6-7 days.
Well, and that's what we played 70 innings in 4 days.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I know
just because, we lost a game we shouldn't have lost.
At the beginning, it was like 1 game each day, right?
As long as you won, yes.
Yeah.
And do you think they do that? I know it sucks to have most of the tournament, like you said, at the end. But do you think they do that to try to have the families enjoy time there, or what do y'all think that the reason is?
I believe it's because if you're going to ask families to spend $5,000 and fly to Indiana and stay in hotels, you can't send them home in 2 days. Yeah. You can't send them home that early. Even though there's a tier 2, you could get those kids could be done in 3 days. Play 2 the first game, you lose 2, now you're in tier 2. You play 2 the next game, you lose 2, you're done. Like you could be gone in 48 hours. And nobody wants that experience for anybody, right? Yes. So I do believe that I liked the rest, 1 game a day, but it does put a lot of pressure on that Saturday. Like I said, that game against Katy was a really big deal because the loser of that game, after that game, to get back would have had to win 4. And that 4 7-inning games. There's no time limits.
Then you have to double dip you.
And then I would have had to get double dipped. So it's like any tournament. Once you lose, it sucks. But it's not fun.
No, no.
No, I agree because that's a lot, right? No time games when, like Katie said, here we're used to time games. I think the longest we have is 90 minute, 90-minute
Yeah.
games maybe,
I think
unless
a
we
lot of
do a
our
five
prospect
inning.
wire in TFL is 90.
90 minute, yeah, 90 minute,
Mhm.
5 innings maybe. That's like the longest that we play here. So I know it, like you said, it takes a toll to go out there and play them long games. So,
Mhm.
what does championship culture look like behind the scenes, like as for in the dugout, at practices, between games, and also just, off the field? Maybe y'all, do things, team bonding outside of practice and all that. So, like, what's some things that y'all do to make sure the girls keep that chemistry like they supposed to have? Jeff, go
I
for,
think
uh,
talking. Oh, go ahead.
either one, it's fine.
You go ahead, Katie.
I think that a lot of us live close, so a lot of them go to the same junior high. Obviously, they can't go to the junior high that's zoned to my school. And so Lily's kind of on her own. But a lot of them see each other outside of softball. We don't do like a lot of parties or anything like that. But just talking to them a lot about being good teammates. And I talked to a lot of them this year about self-leading. Like eventually you guys got to self-lead and you got to do it. Because you're getting to that age where if somebody's doing something incorrectly, you shouldn't be afraid to tell your teammate, hey, try this, or hey, make sure you open your hips, or, trying to get them to kind of self-lead. But also the parents, all of our parents get along. We haven't had a parent issue since first year 10U. And so I think they're a big reason why our team is successful is our parents are supportive of not just their own kid, but all of them are cheering for every kid. And sometimes they even cheer for the other team. So, that's just, they make a good play. They're going to clap and tell that kid that they did great.
Mhm.
Even if we are losing, and so I think them setting that example for their child is really big. So,
Okay, Jeff, and you?
For us, I think we're fortunate enough to have our facilities. So, for example, my girls will go work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Taylor Shoemaker will be in the facility, or Kai Miner's in the facility, or all these girls that they watch or read about. Many of the, Reagan Shockey will be in our facility, teaching some girls slapping lessons when she's in town. So there are so many college All-Americans and college national champions that my team has an opportunity to train with. All the girls train in the same facility. It's a class from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9. You do whichever hour you want, but it's the same speed and agility and weight training class that's done by the trainers. So, you'll have a 10-year-old running next to Taylor Shoemaker. And she's like, wow, this is the college freshman of the year sitting next to me, right? And so they get to learn early at the Batbusters about leadership, and not so much from me, but just from the girls that have come before them. When you look up and you see all the national championship banners at the facility, or you turn on the TV and all these girls that have come through the Batbusters or in the Elite Eight, in the Final Four, in the national championship game, these girls really admire them. And there's not one or two, there are 10 to 15 on every College World Series Batbusters. And so these girls have seen these girls lead, and then they'll come back and they'll open up, relationships with, like, my daughter has a relationship with Reagan Shockey. My daughter's a slapper, and Reagan Shockey is her favorite player. And she is super kind and has come to my house and done lessons in the back with my daughter. And so it's those types of relationships that I'm very fortunate to be a part of an organization that has that and allows that and kind of fosters that type of leadership. Because those older girls, they pay their dues, because before them were the Chip Bennett's and the Jocelyn Allos and all those other girls who came through Batbusters before this new class, the current class came through. And now my girls are only going into 14's first year, but there's going to be some girls on that team that I can assure you, and I know they're young, but we're going to be watching a handful of those girls for sure. And it's just the work ethic, it's just the work ethic they put in every day. And I think the culture is not necessarily fostered by me. It's fostered kind of by the organization and the girls that come before us.
Okay, man. That's good. Like your team is able to work with those, those college girls as well. Like Katy, she'll have one that she used to coach previous past to come out. So it's good for the girls to get that knowledge out of those girls that's at the point where they are trying to get.
Well, and you can say one thing and they're like, okay, but when Lynn comes out, she tells them, you're like, oh, okay, like it all of a sudden means more, because it's Lynn, right? And so it's nice when they come out because the girls get super excited. Even it's just, Lynn would come hit with us when she was here after they won, but it's just their little faces light up and she pairs up with one of the girls and hits, stations with them and stuff. So it's nice.
hmm No, yeah, I agree. It's always good to have the girls because a lot of the college girls. I mean, now it's getting to a point where I think they realizing a lot of these young girls look up to them. I think at the beginning, not saying some of them didn't, but a lot of them, I don't think they realize how much these younger girls look up to them, and see what they doing and want to be able to get to that point.
Right.
hmm So
And softball has changed a lot.
Yes, yes,
So
a whole lot. hmm So what does being a coachable kid mean to y'all? Jeff, you can go first on this.
Well, someone who comes in on the team with an idea of where she thinks she should be, but accepts where she actually is, right? So everybody who comes to Katy, everybody who comes to me has been a star on their team before they got to us, right? They've been a kid who probably played shortstop, probably was the pitcher, and either the 1, 2, or 3 hitter on every team they've ever played in their lives, right? And we kind of touched on it earlier, and that's the rub, because you have to bat 9. That means someone has to bat 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, right? So those are all kids 5 through 9 that used to be 1 through 3. So the kids understanding and buying into the longer term goal. Because remember, when kids are young, you always put the worst kids at the end of the lineup, right? When you're 6, 7, 8, 9, you put them out. Like that's not how I don't do my lineup like that. Matter of fact, Mike likes snappers at the 2 and 9 hole. I put mine at the 1 and 8 hole, but he wants one in the front and wants one in the back, because they know they can turn the lineup over and you've got to get back to the top, right? So my daughter is a snapper. She's batting 8th. And if she were on a rec team, oh, that kid must not be any good. She's batting 8th. But on my team, in Katy's team, in any team that has any national championship winning team is going to have 1 through 9 who can hit, right? So we don't have a cliff. So I think the coachable kid has to understand that while you may have been the starting third baseman on your other team, I really need you at first. Or whether you may have been the starting shortstop, you're actually really good at center field, and we have another super capable kid that can do that position while you dominate the outfield. And so those are the things that especially in 12s and under, you have to navigate more. And those are the things where there's a lot more parent interaction that typically isn't great. But ultimately, the coachable kid is the one that looks at me and says, and I've had it happen, and I'll never forget it. Coach, she says to me, and I'm going to quote, "Coach, you're the coach. I go where you tell me to go. Wherever you want me to play, I'm going to play." And I was like, this kid was at the time 11 years old. And I'm like, holy smokes! Like their parents, they won, right? Because that kid understood. I'm just happy to be on this team. You're a great team. You guys have won a lot of stuff. I just want to participate and help any way I can. It's always the dinner time talk at home that seeps into these kids when they start to kind of go the wrong direction, right? It's never the kid. It's not the kid. It's the parent at home saying, you should be playing this position. I think you should be batting this spot in the lineup because this is where you always have. And then it starts to bleed, and then it starts to bleed even more. Then it starts to kind of fracture. And as a coach, we have to do our best to put Band-Aids on those things, and really weed out the coachable kids from the uncoachable kids. And sometimes the most talented kids aren't the most coachable kids, right? And we have to learn that as we go through. But for me, in a nutshell, is a coachable kid is someone who's willing to do, realistically and happily willing to do what she's asked, and not so concerned about where she's playing or where she's hitting.
Okay. No,
I would agree.
with
I think he said most of it.
that. Right.
Sorry, I tend to talk.
No,
words.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no, yeah, you touched that, like, I mean, right on point, right? Because,
Yep.
like you said, coachable kids, they don't care where they go. They just want to play. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm on the field, I'm fine. What can I do, right? So I agree with everything you said there.
As an example, so I'm only going to use her as an example because I'm friends with her dad, and she's a great kid, and she helps my kid with slapping. Reagan Shockey was a starting shortstop forever. She was a middle starting shortstop. Mike went to her and said, "You're going to center field." She didn't whine, didn't complain, and now she's the top center fielder in all college softball. Right? I mean, arguably, and she's an All-American. So sometimes, where do middles go? They go to the outfield, right? That's where middles typically go when they're not playing middle anymore. And so ultimately, that kid was super coachable and understood that Coach Mike thinks I'm better here. I'm going to buy into this. I'm going to be the best center fielder I can. And she got offers from everybody in the world, and starting center fielder for Arizona is an All-American. So that was being coachable. That's just an example.
Yep.
That's great. That's a great example because.
And I think owning their role.
Yeah. Doing your role, whatever the coach asks you to do.
Yep.
I got you. I'm doing it, right? Because like you said, once you play travel and you can play infield here and there, but then you get to college, all of those girls played probably the same position you played growing up.
Right.
If you want to get on the field, you have to figure something out. Right. So it's best for them to learn at an early age, so when it's time for them to actually go through it, it's like, okay, well, I've been here before. This is nothing. So yeah, I agree. So what are y'all most proud of from y'all players from this past season? Katy?
I would think, I don't want to say the win in Colorado, but the championship game. So everybody's tired. We're down 7-2, and I'm just trying to be the most positive person, even though I'm stressed out and freaking out. And the girls just kept fighting, and they kept supporting each other. They kept cheering, and it didn't matter if they were on the bench. It didn't matter if they got into pinch hit. It didn't matter if they were on the mound or weren't on the mound. I think that they showed some real heart and grit, and they just never gave up. And that's something I talk to them a lot about, is you're never out of it. We can go into the 7th inning, we can turn it around, and we can win. And so just making sure that they believe that, but they do believe that. And so I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Okay. And Jeff?
I would go back to just the consistency is what I'm proud of the girls. They're beat up and tired on these Sundays, and they're playing 3 friendlies. And sometimes the first half of the lineup's off, but the second half's on, or the second half's off, the top half is on. Fortunately for us, we very rarely ever ran into a situation where everybody was off. And so scoring runs typically wasn't the issue. So I would think just the consistency, because these girls, they're 12 and 13 years old now, right? And so when they show up and it's been a week long, you don't know what these girls are going through at school, right? Did they have a bad week at school? Did somebody bully them? There's all kinds of stuff going on with these girls changing, and there's just a lot going on in their heads. And so for them to show up every weekend and put the pedal to the metal, and stupid friendly on a Sunday night at 6 p.m. and the other place is lined up from the home plate all the way down the third base line into left field. And I'm going, this is a friendly on a Sunday at like 5 o'clock. This means nothing, but it meant everything to the team. It meant everything to the team we're playing. Banging on the fences, yelling at the umpire. And then we're like, okay, now you got my juices flowing. All right, girls, come here. You know, like now we actually got to snap out of it. You know, let's kill their vibe. You know, and for them to be able to do that 109 out of 112 times is pretty amazing, and something I know I'll never forget. I know those girls will never forget, because as you may remember, I did coach a team in tens that was 102-3, but we lost the last game of the season. Right, we lost a lot in the PGF National Championship game. We had never lost a tournament game until that game. We'd only lost 2 friendlies earlier in the year when the other teams were batting straight 9. It was a crazy environment for 10. But anyway, and so I was able to build from that this year and say, girls, yeah, you're whatever we were when we got her 103, whatever the hell we were, but it doesn't matter, because if you lose the last one, that's all you're going to remember. Like, I have a lot of memories from that year of 102-3, but the one that sticks out the most is the loss. Right, the one we lost at the end, because you're going to remember the last game. Coach Mike says the only game that matters is the last one of the year, and I get that, you know, because that's the one you want. And so those girls, just to be able to continuously fight every weekend when everybody was hating on us, and there's a lot of hate, man. Oh boy, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of hate.
We had somebody come up to us in Colorado and say, "There's teams out here that hope you'll lose." And my Lance is like, what? And he's like, yeah, a bunch of teams out here want y'all to lose. I'm like, cool, thanks.
Oh,
you know,
100%. And Katy, that's 100% accurate. And but you know what? The good thing about it, they're spending all their time and energy rooting against you or against me, forgetting that they got to win themselves. And in Colorado, they did it because Katy did. Right, and in Alliance, they did it because I did. We did. So keep hating. You know, my girls feel it. We know it. You know, keep keeping on. You know, and we'll be fine. I promise, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that, because at the end of the day, it's not adults hating on adults. They're actually hating on some 12, 13-year-old kids.
Correct.
Like, as an adult, like, what? I don't know. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna just leave it where it's at, because that's weird.
The hate is real.
Yes, very real, very real.
Yeah.
So, like, Katy, you had said, you know, like, you be nervous, but as a coach, you have to hide that, right? So, how do you go about, or how do y'all go about hiding, and, you know, pressure games, and y'all, you know, feeling the jitters, and y'all want to be doing all kind of stuff, moving around, but as a coach, y'all have to stay calm to let the players know, like, everything's okay. So how do y'all go about that?
Honestly, I just kind of stay to myself, just because I don't want the nervous energy to go on to the girls. You know, and I'll talk to them and stuff and hang out, but mostly before a game, I'm kind of just standing or talking to Michael, or Lance or Tanner. You know, other than that, I just kind of, I don't know, I'm nervous before every game. Even if I know, hey, we just run-rolled this team last weekend, they can turn around and beat us if we don't play well. You know, and so I'm nervous before every game. And I don't always hide it. I think sometimes I make them nervous as well, and it can't be that way. So I have to kind of step back and be like, all right, get it together. But mostly I just talk to Michael about it, or I talk to Lance or Tanner. So.
Okay. And Jeff, how do you go about that, hiding your nervousness?
It's very difficult. My wife tells me all the time, Jeff, they can feel your anxiety. And so during warm-ups, Katy nailed it on the head. I don't care who I'm playing. I could be playing the worst first-year team in the country, and until the game is over, and until we get a 10-run lead, I am a ball of anxiety and nervousness, because I know anything can happen on any given day. It can, right? Anybody can beat anybody in any sport on any given day. And so I literally take no one lightly. Even if we beat them, we immerse them, like Katy said last time, it does not matter. I will create something in my mind, and then I will lie to the girls. I will lie to the girls. I will say, girls, this team picked up these 3 new players. Come on, coach. No, for real. They picked up these 3 new players. I'm telling you, they're better than they were last time. I'm going, oh, God. No, they're not. I was watching them up. This is terrible. But I will create these scenarios for them to continue to compete because look, this is a true story. In Colorado, we were losing 5-1 to a first-year team, and I was on the bucket, and I looked at my only coach, my assistant coach. I said, "Oh my God, this wipes away all the good we've done in 2 years if we lose this game right now." But now in my heart of hearts, I knew another time through the lineup we were going to score, but we were down 4. It wasn't like we were down 1 or 2; we were down 4. But the thing is, I'm able to build on that, right? So that team was stoked. I mean, they were going nuts as they should.
I was watching the game and I was freaking out for you.
Oh my God. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, like what is happening right now? Like these little girls are battling. They're battling at the plate. They were making the plays. But like any heavyweight fight, it's like eventually you clip them and then they start wobbling and then it starts to unravel. And that's just the bigger, stronger second years versus first years, right? Like eventually they made lots of mistakes in the field. We started hitting gappers and we ended up scoring 10 runs. But the level of anxiety and nervousness I have before every game, the stories that I lie and create for these kids to listen to about this new pitcher from so-and-so or this new kid that mashes the ball. And she's like, she has no shot of mashing the ball, but I'm going to let her know that she mashes the ball. Right. And I'll try to, just goof around a little bit during warm-ups, even though inside I'm dying. And so just that the girls don't, and all of a sudden I get frustrated. I'm like, why are these girls goofing around and one is laughing? Something like, what? But that's how they handle the stress, right? That's how 13-year-old girls handle the stress. Because like, I'm a football guy. We're quiet. You put the headphones on, you're quiet. You buckle up your helmet during warm-ups. You have to bang pads. You don't say much to anybody. And when I see girls like laughing, doing these mini TikToks during warm-ups, I want to yell like, what are you? No, can't yell at them because they're loose. They play better when they're loose. And let it go. But don't ever think that I'm not at third base. Playing Katy, I'm at third base, just dying to get this thing over with. Because at any point this thing can go the other direction, and I know that. So that's just how I deal with it.
Okay, man. Well, while y'all nervous over there, I'm nervous on the other side of the fence too. So we all nervous. That's part of it. I see. Right, and the girls, they have no worries in the world. They just out there probably just playing. It is.
They're just playing.
They're just having fun with their friends.
Yep. So let's say for the kids that if y'all have kids, right, that aren't getting much playing time, how do you keep their confidence up and show them that you believe in them?
I don't know if everybody does it like me. And it's not every single time, but pretty much every kid on our team plays in every game leading up to like one of our super competitive tournaments. But especially like if we're up a lot to nothing, like I'll make changes and do all those things. Obviously when we're playing a really good team like Jeff's team, that's a lot harder then. But I try to make sure at least everyone gets an at bat. I try to make sure they get in the game at some point, somehow, some way. But also making sure at practice they're getting all the reps that they need as well. So when their number is called, they can take advantage of that.
Okay. And Jeff?
The same in terms of every girl played in every game at Allance until the day we played Katy, until the 3-game day. So I think that was Saturday. So Tuesday through Friday, every girl played in every game leading up to that point. From that point on, I locked it in to a top 9. Now, I have to bring up one thing though. So one of the girls that I coached forever that became a sub had two unbelievable at bats in both national championship games. She's just one of those kids that I've had forever, and I know what I'm going to get from her when she gets in the box. And she had a 13 pitch at bat. I think we were only winning 2-1 at the time. In the 6th inning, where we scored 9 and blew that game wide open. But it was second and third. I think we had 1 out. She had a 13 pitch at bat, and she was a pitch. I brought her in as a pinch hitter, and she ended up getting a hit. And the energy that our team got from her at bat and the energy that our team got from her success, and this was someone who's been used to on my team with me forever, was my starting shortstop at one point, was my starting third baseman at one point, was my starting second baseman at one point, never out of the lineup. So for her and her new role was challenging for both of us, right? For both of us. But I knew in that moment what she was going to give the team. And she gave more than we could have asked for. She pinch hit in the first game for one of our really good hitters who had two bats that I didn't like the eyeball test. She came through in that one. The next one, I put her in for another batter who had two unsuccessful at bats. I didn't like the eyeball test. And these were two of our top hitters. But in that moment, we needed to go to something different. And I knew I had someone on the bench that was going to excel. So, you know, I feel like that if she didn't believe in me and trust in me and didn't know I had her back, she would have failed in that moment. So somewhere along the line, she knew I still had her back, even though she wasn't an everyday player. Somewhere along the line, she still knew that we believed in her, because I was putting her in two situations on Monday that were super critical. And you don't put kids in that position that you don't believe in, that you don't believe are going to succeed. And she succeeded both times. So we're never going to make everybody happy. Katie knows that. You know that. It's an impossible task for coaches. People ask me all the time, why do you do this? Like, you know, you have three parents that are super pissed at you. Why do you continue? And then we win the game. Everybody's throwing their gloves up in the air. My pitcher comes up to me and hugs me sobbing and says some of the nicest things I've ever heard from a 13-year-old girl say to a coach, and I'll never forget it, frankly. And then my shortstop grabs me and hugs me, sobbing, and says the same type of things. And then it reminded me, this is why, right? Like, not that we don't have to win the national championship, but those moments in between the stress, those moments in between the anxiety, those winning moments in between the chirping going on the other side of the fence, as you guys are calling it, right? That's why I do it. And those moments far outweigh the poison. You know, they far outweigh any toxicity that comes along with this job. And a lot of it comes with this job. It really, really does. But the moment that I have my pitcher, my shortstop, my own daughter, and some of the other girls, like I said, the things that were said, Tay, when she hugged me, and I've had her since she's been a little itty bitty kid.
She's such a good kid.
Yeah, they're ingrained in my mind and something that I'll go to my grave with, and knowing that not everyone's going to love me. That's for damn sure. But if a couple do, I'm happy.
Well, if they all love you, you ain't doing it right.
That's right. That's what they say.
Right.
But to touch on that, like Taylor, I remember in Colorado when y'all ended up losing, she comes over to Lily and she says, Lily, go kick their butt, you know, and like just gave her like a really good pep talk. And that's the kind of kids I want my kid to be surrounded by. And that's why I enjoy playing you guys, because it's not just, you know, we don't want them to win. We don't like them because they can beat us, or we can't, you know, it's such a small world, and a lot of your girls are really supportive. So.
And knowing Kay, she didn't say but either. I guarantee it.
No, she did not.
I
just kept it PG for you guys.
That's what I thought. Knowing Tay, she did not say but that's
she definitely did not say but.
Yes.
But yes, I just kind of, you know, changed it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You know your players, right?
I know Tay. Yes, I do.
So, going into next season, what do y'all have in store, like, for y'all girls? Like, do y'all have any type of goals going into next season?
To be better than we were this season.
Okay. And Jeff?
You know, I would say, you know, people will laugh as they laughed at us when we were first-year 10s and we won states and nationals. They'll laugh at us when we were first-year 12s and we won nationals. Our goal for my team is to win the national championship next year as first-year 14s.
Yeah.
If that's not the goal, then what am I doing? Right? I mean, you can still develop. The confusion is at a young age, and it's always the people who don't win who say this, to be quite honest. You can't develop and win. You either got to develop the players or all you care about is winning, right? So the top on Jeff is all he cares about is winning. He must not be developing his players. How can that be true, right? Because those girls are pretty good. That's why they're winning, right? And so, you know, you can develop and also still win. There's this thing where people are afraid to talk about winning, especially at younger ages, right? It's like, oh God, he said he wants to win. Like, yeah, I do. And the plan for this year would be to win again. Is it likely? Probably not. Right? It's going to be really hard. Every level now these second at 14, these are really grown women now. Right now, these are grown women. And we're still on that journey as first year 14s. But if I looked at my girls and said anything else, if I looked at my girls at the beginning of fall and said, girls, listen, man, all I really want to do is make tier 1 next year. Or all I want to do is make it to Saturday at the Sparkler this year in the power pool. They would say, Coach, are you okay? Like, what's the matter with you?
Yeah.
Right? My goal is to win every game, to win every tournament, and to win the national championship. Unlikely, but that's the goal. And those girls have to go into the season understanding that's the work that I expect you to put in. Because when we were first year 12s, no one thought we were going to do what we did. Like I said, first year 10s, no one thought we were going to do what we did. So why not first year 14s and why not them?
Yep.
I agree. And like, if y'all could tell y'all players and parents one thing, what would it be?
Chill the F out. Right? Like, man, you know, we are 13 years old. It's not even apples to apples right now. There's 13-year-olds that are here and 13-year-olds that are here in terms of their growth. There's a lot of time. Like I said earlier, a lot of people are in a hurry to go nowhere, right? Like, you're in a hurry to play up. You're in a hurry to get to the end. Why are we in a hurry to get to the end? Why don't we just enjoy the journey, enjoy the steps, enjoy the process of getting better? Yeah, enjoy something. We are going to lose. We have to learn from those losses. I promise, and Katy can attest to this because she was in Colorado and she was in Allance. I didn't see any college scouts at my games. I didn't.
Zero.
Right? Zero. So, and guess what? You know, and so what position you're playing now doesn't mean that's where you're going to be playing when you're 17 years old. Where you're batting now doesn't mean that's where you're going to be batting when you're 7 years old. Like, for my team, I had 12 girls, and I had to put the pieces of the puzzle together that best fit to succeed with the crop of kids I had, right? I didn't have, you know, I don't have 9 third basemen, 7 shortstops, 13 first basemen. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you have to put the pieces where they fit the best to allow that team to succeed. Yeah. And sometimes that means a particular kid is playing a position that maybe isn't her primary, but she's pretty damn good at the other one she's at. And she's got to stay there for now. But that doesn't mean going into 14s, it'll be the same. It doesn't mean it's 16s or 18s. So just let it play out. Chill, relax. Your kid just won multiple national championships. She just won 109 games. Like, take a deep breath and let's move on.
Yep.
Okay. And Katy, you saying the same thing? Chill the.
That and that I do love all my parents and I love all my kids. I'm sure Jeff feels the same way, but that I'm just grateful for them and that they trust me and they understand, and you know, I like being around them. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I would like I have something in store that I would like for each team.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I got the coaches on. I done interviewed both teams. It's time to get them on YouTube live now.
I'm confused.
I'm scared of what my kids are going to say if you're talking about putting the girls on there.
Oh.
I think it's time now. I mean, I would like, you know, for the ones that would like to do it.
Yeah.
To you know, to do it if you know, parents agree or whatever, but yeah, like that would be something that I would like to do. I actually would like to get some girls on from different teams at the same time as well, you know, to try to, you know, give them a little bit more excitement. I actually want to see what they, you know, conversate with the other ones a little bit.
That's fine. I'm pretty sure I could get a couple to do that.
Yeah. Same.
Okay.
Our girls love you.
Oh
You've
yeah, I
interviewed
know.
them before. They're goofy.
Anywhere I pull out the camera, they find a way to get on it. So
They do.
no, it's I love all the the girls. Like I said, when I first met Jeff, I actually stood at he was talking, I stood at the fence for like 15, 20 minutes
You
just
did.
waiting for him to get done talking so I can get an interview with him and his girls and at the scrapyard. So it's just certain things that I have planned and I would like to do it. So I have to do what I got to do to get it done.
And Katie, the first time he met me, it was after we lost to the Bombers. And I'm like, this dude wants to talk to me right now. I don't know this guy. And he's putting a camera on my face. And I just lost my first game of the season. And this guy's just asking me questions. But it was all good. It was all good.
Read the room.
Yeah, really.
Hey, it was literally so I was trying all tournament, but once I see teams start warming up or doing anything, my thing is not to bother them. So man, it sucks, but that was the only time I was able to get y'all. It was the only time. But again, man, I really appreciate y'all for taking y'all time out and being on the podcast. It's a blessing all the time to be able to talk to y'all.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All
Bye,
right,
Katie.
y'all. All right,
Bye.
y'all have a good one.
Bye. Thank you.
All right.